From the time I first began meeting with lawyers from the Manhattan DA's office and the New York Attorney General's office in connection with their investigations of President Trump and through the trials themselves, I felt pressured and, wait for the language, coerced to only provide information and testimony that would satisfy the Hey everyone, it's 12:30. It's Saturday morning. I hope you all are resting and sleeping. I really hope people aren't watching this because if you are, you're a masochist like me. I wanted to rest, but then I just read this latest report and I felt compelled to talk about it because you're probably going to be seeing it in the news tomorrow, and I don't want you all to be misinformed. Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's personal fixer, his right-hand man, his former Luca Brasi, who went to jail and allegedly became part of the resistance, has now all of a sudden written an essay which has gone viral on right-wing media. And he now alleges that he was, quote, coerced to turn on Trump by two top Democrats, Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, for their personal careers. Donald Trump has responded to it and threatened the radical left will pay a big price. If you all remember, Cohen was Trump's personal fixer, personal attorney, and he went to jail. He was a star witness in the criminal case in which Donald Trump, by a jury of his peers, was found guilty on 34 state felony counts of falsifying business records. Michael Cohen, on behalf of his one client, Donald Trump, who was individual number one, facilitated a hush money payments to adult stars Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal during the 2016 presidential election. They were paid off. We never found out about it. And voila, a jury of his peers saw the evidence, heard Michael Cohen, amongst the other pieces of evidence, the check, like the dead to rights evidence, the smoking gun, that showed that indeed Donald Trump and Michael Cohen were falsifying business records. And he was, again, found guilty by a jury of his peers on 34 state felony counts, right? What's done is done. Michael Cohen was supposed to spend about 3 years in jail. He was released after a year due to COVID. And now, all of a sudden, in 2026, Michael Cohen on his Substack, that you all, if you subscribe, do not subscribe. If you're a paid subscriber, please do not pay this man. I beg you, do not pay this man. Now, all of a sudden, he's claiming, I'm going to quote this. From the time I first began meeting with lawyers from the Manhattan DA's office and the New York Attorney General's office in connection with their investigations of President Trump and through the trials themselves, I felt pressured and, wait for the language, coerced to only provide information and testimony that would satisfy the government's desire to build the case against and secure a judgment and convictions against Trump. Interesting. Every accusation and allegation is a confession. It's all projection. Before I dive into this and why Michael's probably doing this, Epstein Files, we'll get into it for a second. I want you all to know that the entity, the group that is actually pursuing or trying to coerce people is Donald Trump. Lisa Murkowski used the word coercion when it comes to the bullshit criminal case against Jerome Powell. Fed Chair Jerome Powell last Sunday comes out in a 2-minute video and reveals to the world that Donald Trump and the DOJ were essentially secretly trying to threaten him with a potential criminal indictment unless he lowered the interest rates. What did we find out today? The Justice Department, it's not the Justice Department, let's just be honest, it's now, Luca Brasi, Donald Trump's like enforcer. Pam Bondi is his, Luca Brasi now that Michael Cohen's gone. Oh, Lev is here. I tried to invite Lev. Let's get Lev on. I actually texted Zev, and Zev wanted to come on, but Zev was like, bro, it's 12:30, and if I come on, my wife is going to divorce me. And the reason why I wanted to bring Zev onto this was,
we never sleep.
Folks, I have a piece coming out tomorrow that I already have set up for lunchtime. What's Lev is in the plane. So it's plane, trains, and automobiles. Right, let me guess, you're in a car right now?
I'm in the car.
Sorry, tomorrow
I just landed.
In being a train. I texted you. So I'm like, oh, Lev hasn't texted me. So I tried to get Zev on. Zev was like, bro, my wife will divorce me. And folks who are joining us real quick, the reason why Zev, Lev, and Ellie, I think, are integral to this is a couple of weeks ago, I was on, Zev wanted me on, there was a panel. It was me, Zev, Lev, And I think Michael Cohen, and people are like, why are you on with Michael Cohen? I'm like, I don't know. Zev invited me. Michael was there. He was being a little arrogant. And then I left, and then Ellie took my place. And then people are like, bro, what just happened? He just blew up on Zev. And Zev apparently just asked him an anodyne, sincere question about the Epstein files. So Michael blew up on Zev, and then Ellie and Lev were like, "Wow, man, that was rude." Tara Palmieri, she
Yep.
has a video where apparently she asked him a question. He blew up on her. He's been blowing up on people when it comes to the Epstein files, to the point where many of us are like, "Bro, this is a little weird." Then it was revealed, folks. Just I think last week there was. One of Ellie's subscribers, I think it was one of Ellie Leonard's fantastic subscribers, right? Wasn't it one of Ellie's subscribers, Lev? Found
Yeah, it was incredible. One of Ellie's subscribers. No, I'm so sorry. Can I just, guys, bear with me live. We never. Can I get? Okay, I'll order. Don't worry. I'll order the second.
Lev, go on mute. You can press mute and order.
Oh,
and
I can.
you can press
I'll
mute.
let you catch me, and then I'll tell you the whole story because we got a lot of stuff going on. Waj, I can't wait to tell you. Yeah.
Let me tell you about Rule 35. Okay, so for those who don't know, one of Ellie's subscribers found this one email in the released Epstein files. Oh, by the way, where are the Epstein files? We would like all of them. We would like the millions of documents and the redacted files, DOJ. But I digress. What they found was an internal Southern District of New York note that revealed that Michael Cohen's lawyers, while he was in prison, sought a Rule 35 consideration, and they alleged that Michael Cohen had, quote, and I'm quoting Tara Palmieri, had, quote, heard Trump say things about Epstein. And then when Tara asked him, Cohen screamed he knew nothing about it. It was not the first time he cracked on camera. He also then turned on Zev, and everyone was like, what the hell? And so whenever it comes to the Epstein files, if you all know, Michael's been acting hella weird. And we've been trying to tell you folks that Michael has been extremely strange when it comes to the Epstein files. And then you had this email that he has not explained, that his lawyers sought a Rule 35 consideration, trying to like mitigate his sentence or commute his sentence. Remember, he was in prison at the time, and Epstein had just been arrested. And he said, I might know things about Epstein. To which Lev, myself, Ellie, and Zeph for the past week have asked, what do you know? And if you know about it, maybe it's time to release something. And now all of a sudden, Michael Cohen decides to publish an essay on his Substack saying that Letitia James, who, by the way, is the subject of a BS criminal indictment that went nowhere, Jerome Powell is being threatened, Tim Walz got threatened. It's all distraction. You see, it's all projection. They're now accusing the left, whatever that means, of doing what they're actually doing. You guys are doing the insurrection. You guys have the insurgency. You guys are the ones occupying straight up Minnesota and killing and harassing people right now. I'm hopeful that the majority of people won't care about this. Why? Because unfortunately, most people didn't care that Donald Trump is a convicted criminal. I'm hoping that most people are like, yeah, we really don't care about this, whatever, the falsifying business records. I hope they care about the Epstein files, because the way I want to zero in on this, and myself, Lev, and others have said the one Achilles cankel of Donald Trump is the Epstein files. I said to the right-wing media on Twitter, cool. So let's release the Epstein files. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to lose. Midas needs to drop Michael Cohen, absolutely. If you all subscribe to him, stop subscribing to him. You have to find out what's the timing. Why would Michael Cohen, who is allegedly part of the resistance, all of a sudden use the same language of coercion, go against Alvin Bragg and Letitia James, say that he was coerced to do it? Really? Were you coerced to do it? No, you decided to do it to cut a deal. You cut a deal with New York prosecutors. You were guilty as hell because it was you working on behalf of Donald Trump, who was individual number one, to pay this hush money, falsifying business records. A jury of your peers found Donald Trump guilty on 34 criminal counts, right? You decided to cut the deal. And now all of a sudden, he's accusing the radical left, Alvin Bragg and Letitia James, of forcing him to say this against Trump. Now, seeing how Donald Trump works, and seeing how Michael
lying piece of shit. I'm going to tell you, Gosh.
What I'm telling you, Lev, what it seems like to me is he's like, hey, Donald, listen, I want to get back into good graces.
Let me try to do. Oh, I got so much shit on him. Wash. He's done that. I haven't just had a chance to. I've been dealing with Scott Jennings the past couple of days, but he's been working to get a pardon from Trump already for months. He's been working behind the scenes with George Santos and others. I am we I'm stuttering right now because I'm so angry that I'm literally called Ben Midas right now while we're on the phone, and because they try. Do you understand? He set my son up. Wash. Do you understand what this piece of shit did? He went live. He did a podcast with my son Aaron to try to whitewash himself because of the relationship through Midas. That's when I went off the
Ballistic.
rails like that.
Yeah,
It's
I was in France and I get a phone call from Lev, and then all these people are like, "Oh, did you just see it?" I'm like, "I don't know what's happening. I'm in France," and you were pissed, and I'm like, "All right." And then I think you made up with Midas, but
hold on, hold on. Some Ben is calling me. Let me put myself on mute.
yeah,
I got to give Ben the breaking news.
all right,
Continue. I'll get right back with you.
yeah. So make sure you're on mute. I can't hear you. Can you say something? Okay, I can't hear you. Good. I just want to respect the privacy of someone's conversation. So folks, I'm not making this up. Go check it out. The Daily Mail piece. The Daily Mail's, of course, right wing, but here you go. It's right here. New York Post has about it. It's all over right wing media, and the reason why I'm getting on top of it is I don't trust corporate media. I know how disinformation works. They're trying to sully the waters. They're trying to, if you will, do distraction. Why? Because what they're doing right now is they're attacking Jerome Powell. Today, earlier in the day, as you all know, the Department of Justice is now going for subpoenas. They're trying to initiate a criminal case against Mayor Fry and Governor Tim Walz for impeding law enforcement. Total bullshit case. Just because you're critical of ICE is not impeding law enforcement. They've already criminally threatened Jerome Powell because he essentially was a whistleblower. It came out in a 2-minute video last Sunday night. We've already forgotten about it. I haven't. We know the bullshit intimidation and cases against Comey, against Letitia James, Mark Kelly, folks. Remember that? That's from last week. So don't crash, dude. All right, good. And so, we've been kind of on top of this for a while. So it was kind of, the first inklings of this was just like, I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, Zev invited me. There was some breaking news. I never forget, folks. It was Zev was there, Ellie was there, Lev was there, and then Michael was there. And some people were pissed off at me for showing up with Michael. I'm like, bro, I had no idea. Zev invited me. I've had a good relationship with him. I was talking about, the Epstein Files. Michael was there. He was being a little bit annoying, but I'm like, whatever. I said my 2 cents. I left. And then, Zev very innocuously, apparently afterwards, just asked Michael about the Epstein file. He blew up. Tara Palmieri, she asked him, blew up. And this was before we had that email from the Epstein files showing that his attorneys, while he was in prison, sought a Rule 35 consideration and essentially said, hey, we know some stuff about Trump and Epstein. Hey. So what does he know? Did they have a conversation? What was the conversation? Was that used in the commutation of his sentence? What is he hiding? But anytime you ask him about this, notice he does a more exaggerated version of what David Brooks did. Remember David Brooks 2 months ago? He's like, I'm over the Epstein files. We're like, that's a hella weird New York Times column to write. Why would you write something like that? And then later on it was found out, oh, David Brooks was in a meeting, some type of like closed door meeting with a bunch of other people with Epstein. So it all goes back to the Epstein files. Waj, why are we on with Lev while he's driving? Courtney.
No, my daughter's holding the camera, so I'm driving normally. I have my seatbelt
Don't
on.
look at us. Just don't. Imagine you're on speakerphone. And
Yeah.
I really do appreciate our community because
Thank you guys. Love you guys. Absolutely. I'm
be
being
safe.
very-
And
Yes.
people said, "Why are you on with Lev?" I didn't know. Last time I called him, he was on a plane. Now he's in a car. So maybe next week he'll be on a train.
Ben is calling me back in 10 minutes. I just sent him the article. He told me, give me 10 minutes. He's going to call me back because they need to get warned. Michael's been working this already he's been trying to get behind the scenes with Donald Trump and his people already for months, even 6-7 months ago. So that's why a lot of times people didn't notice, but when we were doing even our lease show, me and Michael were butting heads already because there was a lot of things that I've started hearing behind the scenes. When Tara Palmieri went on the show with him, and she questioned him, and he attacked her.
Yeah,
That was
he's blew up on her. She
he
posted the
blew
video.
he
I'll
blew
post
up
it
on
right
her.
now.
So what happened was I called Tara right after, and I said, Tara, because I was on, she saw I was there. I said, I do not know what's going on. She goes to me, love. She goes, I have information. This was the time. This was the place. If you know a lot of people find out. I said, Tara, give me some time. Let me do some work, and as soon as I find out, I promise you, I will come back. So I did not tell Michael or Ben or anybody anything because I didn't want to say anything until I had any information. Then I started getting we did that show with you and Zev. He blew up again on Zev. And then he threatened literally.
Actually, can I ask you, Lev? Because I had literally just left, and apparently 5 minutes afterwards, he blew up. So people told me after the fact. So what had happened? Because you and Ellie were there.
Right. What happened was Zev, because we were talking about Trump, if you remember his speech, and then Zev asked him the same question that Tara Palmieri asked him. So here's the problem. This is what everybody needs to understand: where Michael is playing and lying to everybody, and this is extremely important because this has to do with Katie Johnson. So when Katie Johnson in 2000, I think it was 16, right before the election, she filed a complaint. She filed a lawsuit. She actually filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump and Epstein. She named Donald Trump and talked about him doing all these nasty,
Yeah. Yeah.
horrendous things right before the what's it called election. She got threatened. Lisa Bloom was representing her at the time, and she got threatened to the point of her life, and she basically withdrew the lawsuit. And ever since then, Katie Johnson has been basically nowhere to be found. She's come out and done a couple of interviews, but she's been basically in hiding. So when the question that Tara Palmieri and also Zev were asking Michael at this time, this was the time that Michael was his fixer. This was the time that Michael was at the Trump organization. Michael keeps saying that and this is where Michael started lying completely. He started saying he had no idea, he knew nothing about the Epstein. And he started talking about how that there was another lawyer at the Trump organization that handled that case. But where he started getting caught up was he said also that there was another case, a Jane Doe, that he was handling. But where Tara got him, and where he, because liars catch themselves, because he said that he sent a private investigator to this underage girl's house to try to find her. So Tara said, Michael, even if that's another case, why would you be sending a private investigator to an underage girl to speak to her? You're an attorney. Why aren't you speaking to her attorneys? And that's when he started attacking Tara really like completely. So Zev did some more investigative work. He went to try to find the case. He said because if there's two complaints, there should be two cases. Well, Zev calls me up. He says, Lev, I've searched all over. There is no other case. There is no other Jane Doe. The only Jane Doe, the only case that was at the time that Michael's saying that he dealt with was the Katie Johnson case.
For those who don't know, I just posted in the chat. Katie Johnson is the pseudonym of a victim who claims in a lawsuit 2016 accusing Trump and Epstein of raping her when she was 13 years old at a party in 1994, and these allegations resurfaced in 2025. And she claims she was held as a quote sex slave and threatened with harm if she ever spoke out.
Correct. So, and it gets me because I just whenever I remember this, it's crazy. So
Look at the road. Look at the road.
yes, I'm right there. So basically, Michael kept Zev started sent him after we got off the thing. All of us, Zev sent him a letter, text message after the next day, and said, Michael, with all due respect, yesterday you gave us all this information. I can't find this case number. Can you give me the case number? So he did not respond to Zev, or he said something mean to Zev. I don't remember already how. I don't want to quote, but Zev called me back and said, "Left, Michael is not giving me the case number." So I called Michael. I said, "Hey, Michael," I said, what's going on, bro? You said that that you were not part of this. Well, you need to give Zev the information because I'm not gonna continue doing stuff with you. I'm not because you're I don't feel right. Something is wrong here." And then Michael said something to me that really flipped me out. He turned around to me and said, "You know what, Love?" He goes, "Zev only has 70,000 followers. This is gonna die out, the story, and I don't care about, we're just gonna move on and let it die out." When he said that to me, I almost threw up. I said, "Die out, Michael." I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "This is you all day. You talk about release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files. We're talking about it. If you have information, what are you? Are you scared of something? You're hiding?" He goes, "No, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. That's it. I have nothing to say." And he hung up the phone on me.
That's weird. I mean, if you look at a pattern, folks, Lev is alleging he had a conversation with Michael. Michael hung up the phone. Tara Palmieri, it's on camera. It's on camera. The Zev question. I had just left that chat
Okay,
where he,
I'm going to mute you guys.
yeah, he blows up on Zev. Apparently, someone told me he was on with Walsh when I was on, and it was very strange the way he was on with Walsh. He was very defensive with Acosta. He has been extremely defensive, and the first time we saw this was again during that panel that had just left. Ellie mentioned, "Man, it was weird." Zev said, "Bro, I just asked a simple question." He blew up on me, and then one of Ellie's subscribers amazingly found this email for those who are joining us late from the Epstein files, where there was an email from Michael Cohen's attorneys suggesting an internal SDY Southern District of New York note revealed that Cohen's lawyers sought a Rule 35 consideration, and essentially the lawyers were reaching out saying, hey, Michael has heard things about Epstein. And this was when Michael Cohen was incarcerated. So one could only assume that he was saying, hey, I got information. If you want information, I got it. Yeah, you want to hear stuff? And now, all of a sudden, for those who are joining us late, Michael Cohen is alleging as of, Friday, January 16th, now January 7th, I was, quote, coerced and pressured by Alvin Bragg and Letitia James, who were just trying to make a political case. And right after he said that, Donald Trump has now just ranted on social media and said, look at this, the radical left, blah, blah, blah. And as these mother effers are doing this, they're literally trying to prosecute, intimidate, and threaten Mayor Fry, Governor Walz, Senator Kelly, Alyssa Slotkin, who else? On Sunday, Jerome Powell. They tried this in the past against Letitia James, James Comey, right? Every allegation and accusation is a confession. It's all projection. But look at the timing. So now Michael Cohen has written on his Substack, and if you follow his Substack, folks, give your money to other people, man. Come on. Why? He's made enough money. He says, I felt pressured and coerced to only provide information and testimony that would satisfy the government's desire to build up cases against us and secure a judgment and convictions against Trump, he wrote on Substack on Friday. So the right wing is now running with the Daily Mail, New York Post. They're like, see. And I say, cool. Release the Epstein files. Awesome, wonderful. A jury of his peers found him guilty on 34 counts. Who was individual number one? Michael, you only had one client, Donald Trump. What did you do, Michael? Oh, yeah, by your own admission, catch and kill. Who did you pay off to silence before the 2016 election? Oh, yeah, Stormy Daniels, and the other model, right? So if indeed this is just me now thinking out loud, and when it's facts, we tell you facts. When it's just us musing, I always tell you I'm musing. Looking at Michael Cohen's pattern of behavior, what he was asked to do and what he admitted to do for Donald Trump, is it outside the realm of imagination, folks, that the reason why he is so violently defensive anytime someone with the best of intentions brings up the Epstein files, because he did the same exact thing when it came to victims, when it came to underage victims. He was the henchman before Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. He was a Luca Brasi. And Donald Trump said, hey, I got this problem. Pay off this girl. Threaten this girl. Tell this girl to shut up. He did that with, I think her name was, who was the other actress, the adult star? Karen McDougal, model. Karen McDougal and adult film actress Stormy Daniels, right? So folks, right? I mean, And then if you have nothing to hide, and what I've always said about the Epstein files, and I'll continue saying it, and this is where I stand on it. I don't care who is in the Epstein files: liberals, independents, Democrats, philanthropists, academics, celebrities, presidents, whoever's in those files. And if it was revealed that you partied with this guy, especially after he was a convicted pedophile, you've got to answer some questions. It very well could be, I had no idea, man. I was invited to a conference. I was invited to a party. I had no idea who Michael was. This person invited me. There were a lot of girls there. I didn't mess around. Okay. Answer the questions, right? I don't care who it is. If it is shown, and I want to be very consistent with all of you, if it is shown that you in any way, shape, or form raped these girls, hid or covered up the rape of these girls, trafficked these girls, I don't care if you're a prime minister of, let's just say, Israel, an ex-president, an academic, a professor, a philanthropist, a lawyer. I don't care who you are. May you burn in hell, figuratively and literally, unless, of course, you redeem yourself and, are accountable, right? Throw you guys to the wolves, man. I couldn't care less. And so, especially in this moment where we are literally witnessing the biggest cover up in modern history. That's what it is, folks. I think you have to use the words. It is a cover up. They are covering up the Trump Epstein files. They're covering it up. Speaking about defensive, just a couple of days ago, that hero, I think his name is TJ Sabula, the United Auto Worker. He was in earshot of Donald Trump when Donald Trump was visiting the Michigan plant. He literally yells out, "Pedophile protector." This piece of shit, Donald Trump, the king and daddy of MAGA, super Christian, flips him off with his tiny little middle finger and says F you to him. You better believe that triggered him. DOJ was supposed to release all the files. Where are they? They were supposed to explain why these files were redacted. Where's the explanation? Instead, the same day that they were supposed to actually explain why these files were redacted and release this information, you know what he did? Invades Venezuela and kidnaps Maduro. Now, this is part and parcel of Project 2025 and a distraction. Both things can be true at the same time. And notice now for the past 2 weeks, no one's talking about the Epstein files. Well, people are still talking about the Epstein files. No one's forgotten. But notice how Democrats are on their back foot. Piece of shit, useless Chuck Schumer. Oh, by the way, for those who say, why do you criticize the Democrats? Allow me to retort very quickly. Yesterday, Chuck Schumer allegedly met, not allegedly, he met Donald Trump in the White House. Okay. Oh, he was going to be tough. He was going to fight. What happened today? It was announced that the Justice Department is investigating Tim Walz and Mayor Fry. With Democrats like these folks, and what have we been saying for the past 2 days? 2 weeks. I said it last week and I said it this week. Every single day, the Democrats just release some files. You have the files from the Epstein estate. Now, for those who don't know, there's the Epstein files that we need to be released, millions of copies that the DOJ has. There's the Epstein estate documents that belong to the Epstein estate. And already the Democrats have a tranche of documents there. They haven't released all. All of it's damning. You also have some whistleblowers, the FBI agents who were given access to all these documents. Allison Gillis talked about it. You also have the survivors. You also have, wait for it, Ghislaine Maxwell. There are a lot of leaks. They can't plug all the leaks. Do something. I'm just thinking about strategy, folks. I mean, of course, accountability. You want to put Trump on the back foot? You want to make sure we don't blow up NATO? You want to stop us from invading another country? Just release an Epstein file. Make it in the news. He'll have to respond to it. Republicans will have to respond to it. If I was them, I would just drop it. If you have it, drop it. Don't wait for it. Just drop it. Drop it right now. Puts him on the back foot. Donald Trump is negative double digits across the board. He's negative 30 on Epstein. Most Americans don't trust him. They think he's lying. They think he's covering it up. And then you ask people, this is what I say. If you got nothing to hide, you have nothing to lose. Donald Trump, it's in your interest to release everything about the Epstein files. In fact, if this is a deep state conspiracy, what better way to call out the deep state and to mock them and ridicule them and show them to be bad faith actors suffering from TDS than to release the Epstein files? And voila, you have nothing to hide, unless you have something to hide. Unless you have something to hide. And this is where I feel Michael Cohen, just his behavior, man. I've said it before on the show. I've had conversations the last 2 weeks. I'm like, man, I don't trust him. I don't trust Michael Cohen when it comes to Epstein files. Do not trust him. Just the way he's been behaving. And folks, this is a situation where I have a couple of friends, a couple of people. They don't come on the show anymore. I won't mention who because they're like, I can't believe you bring on some of these Lincoln Project folks like Mike Madrid or Stuart Stevens. I can't believe you talk to former Republicans, or I can't believe you have Lev Parnas on. And what I have always said is, I'm not stupid, folks. I'm not that stupid. I'm probably a little stupid. I'm not that stupid. I've been in this game for a long time. I've seen in DC and New York, these people, they turn on each other on a dime. It's all fickle. It's all transactional. I have no delusions of grandeur. All right. I don't know what's in people's hearts. I only trust them based on their actions and their convictions. I can only control myself and my intentions and my actions. The people who are straight with me, the people who are on the level, the people who are doing the good work, I'm like, okay, I'll give you a chance of redemption. If, however, you turn, and if indeed you're acting like a a-hole, and if indeed you're incorrect, I'm going to call you out. And so with Michael Cohen, that's the thing with Michael Cohen. I'm like, ever since with the Epstein files, I'm like, this doesn't sit right with me. This does
Hey,
not sit
Raj.
right with me at all. Go ahead, Lev.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I got some major breaking news right now. I can't even believe it. So I spoke to Ben literally I was on 2 phone calls right now. I spoke to Ben literally for a second. Ben basically told me and told her he is in shock. They were not aware of anything that this was going on, and they will have to deal with it tomorrow. So I gotta leave it at that because
Sure.
they themselves, they were not aware of anything. This is a shock. But after that, while I was on the phone, then I got a call from one of my sources. So this piece of shit, Michael Cohen, has been working on this. So after we nailed him for the Epstein stuff, Michael Cohen has been in touch with the White House, threatening Donald Trump that the Democrats are going after him and that we're going to expose. He's going to have to talk about the Epstein files. So this is now a setup being done, and that is why Cohen named in his letter right now Alvin Bragg and Letitia James. So this way, Trump could open up another DOJ investigation to try to throw out his convictions. Michael Cohen, right now, this piece of shit is going to try to help Trump throw out his convictions and say that they forced him to lie and stuff like that, and is trying to get a pardon from Trump. And that is why he's right. I literally just got off the phone with my sources,
And,
folks.
and
Right
and guess
now,
what? And guess what? Trump on his broke down social media responded to Michael's piece. Huh? Interesting. And what he said was, in reaction to Michael's claim, Trump wrote, "These horrible radical left people doing everything possible to destroy our country should pay a big price for this. It was a setup from the beginning. New York courts, with many fair and wonderful judges, are embarrassed by what has happened. We cannot let this pass."
I'm sick to my stomach. I know and I know it. I know it. We have it. That's and thirdly, everybody should be warm right now. Everybody, we gotta spread this message, wash everywhere. I mean, we cannot let Trump, Cohen, and all of them get away with this. No way.
Yeah,
No way.
because look, the one good news is, I don't know if there's any good news. The one good news here is, unfortunately, people didn't care about this criminal. Unfortunately, people didn't care about the fact that he and Michael, illegally paid this money and tried to hide it to silence Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels before the election. Unfortunately, people didn't care that Donald Trump was held liable for raping E. Jean Carroll, for defaming her, for settling cases, fraud cases. But you know what people care about? They care about the Epstein files. And if anything, I think the way you can distract from the distraction and pivot it back is, okay, Michael, it seems that the Epstein files is what caused you to flip.
We need to
Michael,
subpoena him.
yeah,
We need to
Michael.
subpoena him.
Michael, who did you talk to Jane Doe? What did you do with this Jane Doe? When you had this email that was found in the Epstein files where your attorneys reached out to the Southern District of New York, what did you mean that you had information about Donald Trump and Epstein? What information did you have? What were you willing to share? If there was no email, why did your lawyers all of a sudden send that on your behalf? These are basic questions that I would ask that I think he needs to answer.
Watch. I promise you tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning, I will be already calling Rokana, Massey, Bacon, Raskin, and I'm going to be putting pressure that there better be subpoenas going out to Michael Cohen. What did you know? And what was this all about? do not. And so this way, he should be the first one. That this shouldn't even be an issue because otherwise, Trump they're going to try to play it off and have literally they're gonna open up an investigation against Alvin Bragg and Letitia James to try to clear Michael Cohen and Donald Trump. This is what the plan is. This is
Yeah, but you
Michael
know what?
Cohen.
You know what? They're not going to bully New York. These convictions aren't going to go anywhere, but what they're going to do is muddy the waters. And it's all projection because as he is literally pardoning fraudsters, he's alleging everyone else doing fraud. As he is pardoning drug traffickers, he's alleging that Mexicans and Venezuelans are drug traffickers. As he is literally threatening Jerome Powell and all these other people, he's saying, "Oh no, no, everything was rigged." It still won't change the Epstein files. It still won't change the terrible economy. He's overreached. And this is where, Lev, I think you agree with me. Democrats need to go on offense. What more do they need to see?
Did you see the DOJ? By the way, I'm sorry. Did you see how the DOJ responded to Rokana and Massey's letter?
No.
Oh my God! Google. Do me a favor while we're talking because I can't. I don't have it, so you could take a look at it. They responded. That's another breaking news. They responded saying that basically they're not gonna. They don't want a special count master and all.
So DOJ says congressmen can't intervene in release of the Epstein files. Manhattan's top federal prosecutor said Friday that judge lacks the authority to appoint a neutral expert to oversee the public release of documents in the sexual trafficking probe of Epstein and Maxwell. Judge Engelmeyer was told in a letter signed by U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton that he must reject a request this week by the congressional co-sponsors of the Epstein File Transparency Act to appoint a neutral expert. Khanna and Massey say they have, quote, urgent and grave concerns about the slow release of only a small number of millions of documents that began last month. In a filing to the judge, they said they believe, quote, criminal violations have taken place in the release process. Clayton, though, said Khanna and Massey do not have standing with the court that would allow them to seek the, quote, extraordinary relief of the appointment of a special master and independent monitor.
This is all part of it, Wash. This is all coming together. And just think of it. The other thing I want to tell you something. Think about it. Cohen wrote that letter on his Substack, right?
Yeah.
Fox News was running with it right after the quick. Fox News does now follow Michael Cohen on his Substack.
And how did Donald Trump all of a sudden respond?
And Donald Trump is just think about how quickly that was all set up. Cohen faxed the letter. This was all premeditated. This was all Cohen is the biggest piece of shit. I mean, if America doesn't, I don't even have words. I don't want to curse. I don't want to have words. I don't even have words for this. He's lower. He is not only involved in the Epstein files. He is involved in all of Donald Trump's corruption. And I don't know who's worse, him and Donald Trump. But I kept saying lately that you sound just like Donald Trump. I think that, Waj, I mean, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, there's no road to Damascus. You would think going to jail, being thrown under the bus by Donald Trump, seeing a violent insurrection would change him. But Lev, I can only. You were on the phone while I was saying this, and like I always say, when it's fact, I try to tell you fact. I try to quote people, but when it's my own opinion, it's my own opinion, and this is my own opinion. Looking at Michael's track record, seeing what he has admitted to doing, knowing that he's gone to jail for being Donald Trump's fixer, he was the middleman who paid off Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal. He was the one who has pressured these people. Wouldn't it be within the realm of imagination to assume that Michael Cohen most likely has pressured and or threatened a victim, an Epstein victim?
And not only that, Wash, Michael Cohen was the president of Donald Trump's what's it called? Donald Trump's pageants.
Yeah,
this universe. Michael Cohen knows way more than and this is, I think, why he's using right now. It is with Donald Trump. They're coordinated. I mean, I can't. I have no words for Sam. I'm not at a loss of words, but right now, I knew he was up to something. I could feel he was up to something, but I couldn't believe that he. I'm just trying to find out right now how he got to who he got to Donald Trump, because there's nobody in Trump's world that would even speak to Cohen. I'm trying to figure out who he
I mean, just look at it.
coordinated.
The way the right wing works, folks, it's all coordinated. It's Daily Mail came out, New York Post came out. It's trending on social media. Donald Trump. So knowing how right wing works, they were tipped off. Um, it's just disgusting. For those who are joining us late, the breaking ish news is earlier today, about 6 hours ago, Michael Cohen wrote on Substack that he was, quote, coerced by Alvin Bragg and Letitia James to make that narrative and present the story. And he then let me say, I'll read exactly what he said. Actually, from the first time I began meeting with lawyers from the DA's office and the New York Attorney's General office in connection with their investigation of Trump, and through the trials themselves, I felt pressured and coerced to only provide information and testimony that would satisfy the government's desire to build the case against and secure a judgment and convictions against President Trump. By the way, folks, that's what prosecutors do. They presented their case to a jury of Donald Trump's peers who held him, wait for it, not liable. It's a criminal case. So they convicted him. He was convicted on 34 felony counts. Michael Cohen, for some strange reason, for all these years, had no complaints against Letitia James and Alvin Bragg. Said he was a patriot, said it was his duty, said he was proud to do it, said he had to pay for his sins. And then in the last month or so, for those who have been following us, this kind of broke on Zev's, where we all were. Zev asked him a question, folks, about the Epstein Files, and he just blew up. This was literally right after I left the panel, so this apparently happened. He also blew up on Tara Palmieri. He also was defensive, some people are saying, with Jim Acosta. He was also defensive and weird, some people say, I think last week, with Joe Walsh. And then, folks, it was a couple of days ago, I think it was last week, Ellie Leonard, the fantastic Ellie Leonard, her subscriber found a document in the Epstein Files in which Michael Cohen's attorneys reached out to the federal prosecutors and said, hey, we might have some information about Trump and Epstein. And so that was found in the SDNY files. And so you're sitting there thinking, wait, Michael Cohen, while you were in jail, your attorneys reached out to the Southern District of New York and alleged that you had some information concerning Epstein and Trump, to which all of us are saying, well, Michael, what information did you have? Why did you reach out? What do you know? How come you're hiding something? And each time we ask him that, he shuts it down. So either his attorneys on a whim just decide randomly to send that email, and even if they did, let me say this, Lev. Suppose my attorneys had sent that and I didn't ask them to send that. Then I would say, I don't know, man. That was like several years ago. My attorneys were probably trying to help me out. I must have mentioned something, but there's nothing there. I don't know anything. That's what I would say, right? If I was not, lying. But the way he has behaved, clearly he is hiding something, Lev. And
he
what
said,
do you
and
think
he
he's
said,
hiding?
Wash, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you know what else he said? This is where he caught himself completely in the lie. So when we were questioning, he said, he was doing his live with Joe Walsh. So what people don't know also, I went into that live, and
Oh,
when
yeah,
I
you told
went,
me that. Right.
and I was calling him a liar. I was telling him, "Come bring me up," and Joe Walsh was bring Lev up, and everybody was bring Lev up. So he was like, "No, I won't bring Lev up. I'm gonna make my statement once and for all, and that's it." And the statement is basically he gave some kind of cockamamie statement. So Joe Walsh, I said to him, "What about Katie Johnson?" And I texted him the thing, and Joe Walsh asked him. He said, "Michael, what was the information that was so pertinent that you were going to give the DOJ?" And you know what he said? He said, "I was going to tell them about the Jane Doe." So it has to be Katie Johnson. He was going to pay. He was basically going. He said that he was going to tell the DOJ about the Jane Doe situation. So he was going to basically tell them about Trump's and Katie Johnson to get out. What screwed Michael Cohen? Two things. I'm hearing, A, the prosecutors didn't believe him because he was a liar. And B, is there was also a cover up going up in the Southern District for the Epstein Files. So they didn't want to. That's why they didn't get his record. But I'm also being told that there's more communication that's going to come out in the dump in the Epstein Files. That has to do with Michael Cohen, his lawyers, and conversations. Because after that letter, I'm told that he proffered with through his lawyers some information to them for them to start believing him. So there's more, and that's why right now he's making the move because he's scared if that comes out. That's what these that's
So,
what
folks,
scrubbing about.
for the 1,600 people who are joining us, which is remarkable. I'm so sorry. It's 1:15 a.m. I was supposed to rest. I wanted to watch this movie called The Rip on Netflix. I had like 15 kids over, and my kids slept like an hour and a half ago because they're gins. And then I saw this, and I just felt compelled to go. I called Lev. But Lev's like my Lev said my wife will divorce me. He tried. He's like, my wife will divorce me. I know Ellie has 4 kids. I'm like, I don't want to bother Ellie. And then I texted Lev because I knew he was flying. I'm like, oh, good. Lev probably got home. But no, he's driving home from Florida. So it's planes, trains, and automobiles with Lev. We've already hit the plane and the automobile. For those who are joining us late, earlier today, Michael Cohen on his Substack wrote this just God, it's this piece in which he alleges that Letitia James and Alvin Bragg, quote, coerced and pressured him to, quote, only provide information and testimony that would satisfy the government's desire to build the case against and secure a judgment and conviction against President Trump. And then right after that, right-wing media has run with it. New York Post, Fox, right-wing influencers, Daily Mail, and then Donald Trump responded to it. And Donald Trump was pissed off. He goes, it was a setup from the beginning. We cannot let this pass. The horrible radical left people. And as this is happening, he is, as you know, engaged in a bullshit criminal investigation of Mayor Fry, Governor Walz, Jerome Powell. He's already done bullshit investigations against Letitia James. He's doing one against Senator Kelly. It's all distraction. And why is it distraction? Why would Michael Cohen do this? Because for those who are joining this late, pardon me for the recap, we've noticed that this guy is hella shady when it comes to any benign questions about the Epstein files. We first noticed a couple of weeks ago when Zev assembled all of us on a panel. I had left. Zev asked a simple question of Michael. And, I trust Zev on this. Zev said, man, I wasn't trying to it was just a benign question. I know he flipped the freak out. Ellie and Lev were on that one. He flipped out against Tara Palmieri. He was evasive, apparently, with Jim Acosta. And then last week, Ellie Leonard's amazing subscriber found this document in the Epstein Files, an internal Southern District of New York note that revealed that Michael Cohen's attorneys sought a Rule 35 consideration, saying that Michael had, quote, heard Trump say things about Epstein. For those who don't know what a Rule 35 consideration is, it's allows the courts to reduce a defendant's sentence if the government files a motion based on the defendant's, quote, substantial assistance in investigating or prosecuting others. So when this email went, or this message went from Michael Cohen's attorneys, he was in jail. And I believe the year was probably 2019. It was when Epstein was arrested. So the question then is, well, what did you know, Michael? And each time we've tried to ask him about this, he literally, folks, flips out. You see the video, I posted it, of him flipping out on Tara. Zev will probably post the video of him flipping out on Zev, and Zev was like, what the hell just happened, right? So clearly he's been hiding something, I think. He's not been transparent. He flips out, just like Donald Trump flipped out at that UAW worker and flipped him with the middle finger after he called him a pedophile protector. And then all of a sudden, folks, Lev, all of a sudden, magically today, after all these years, Michael Cohen, who's on the Midas Network, who's allegedly a patriot, who's learned from his lessons, says, oh, I just remembered in the year 2026, as everyone's asking me about the Epstein files, I was coerced by Letitia James. Bullshit. I call bullshit on this. He's hiding something. And to which I say, cool, release the Epstein files. Lev, what did I miss?
You laid it out perfectly. And the interesting part also is, what was he coerced in? So that means he lied. So if he lied, he should get prosecuted right now and indicted in state where Trump can't even pardon him. And Letitia James and Alvin Bragg right now, the New York State should indict him on falsifying records and lying. I mean, because he went and testified under oath. He went and testified. He spoke in the front of the media. He said, what was he coerced into doing? That means they coerced him into lying, giving false testimony. Is
Yeah.
that what he's trying to say?
Yeah, exactly. What did you lie about then? And did you lie under oath?
That's,
And if you lied
and,
under
and,
oath,
and exactly. And they should go after him right now. Put his ass in a state prison. Watch how quickly he starts singing differently when he knows he can't get a pardon from Trump.
uh,
Michael, this weasel needs to go back to prison.
next year, Michael Cohen's gonna be like, I was coerced into saying I was coerced by Donald Trump. Uh, I have to ask you this question, Lev, because someone asked me this, and people they're like, man,
Yeah,
well,
no.
listen, Lev was a former fixer, and if we can't trust Michael, someone asked this question. I'm forgetting who asked this.
Yes, yes.
Why can we trust Lev? Which I thought was a legitimate and fair question.
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and I welcome every question. I never hide from anything. The difference between, and I've always said, people try to always compare me to Michael Cohen, and I always said there's a couple of big differences. First of all, folks, you need to understand Michael Cohen worked with Donald Trump in the business world. They got along. They had the same mindset. I never worked with Donald Trump in business, and I was never Donald Trump's fixer. I never threatened people on behalf of Donald Trump. I never did business with Donald Trump. The only thing I had to do with Donald Trump, I got brainwashed in a cult, and I truly believed that I was saving our country and getting rid of the deep state, helping Ukraine, and going out there. And I did that, and I was wrong, and I did my time. And the one thing that's different between me and Michael Cohen, I'm out there every day, and it's not just me, my whole family. My son is out there. We are on the line talking about, and I bring receipts to everything. I do not speculate. And those of you who don't even know sometimes get upset with me because you've told me, Lev, why aren't you talking about Elon Musk stealing the election? Why don't you talk about this? And I always say, my platform is I speak truth to power about what I know, what I have receipts for, what I can prove, and that's what my mission has been on. And that's why I welcome anybody, anytime, and also the different. Michael Cohen, on the other hand, has been using the system to sell books. He's been using people to try to pay himself. But Michael Cohen has always wanted to go back to that life. Michael Cohen would always even told me, I mean, literally, folks, I had these conversations with Michael Cohen about him telling me, was thinking of ways where Donald Trump could partner. You know what I'm saying to you? So, and I was telling him, I remember telling him, I said, Michael, you have to be on drugs. Are you crazy? Out of all people, you're the only person he would never pardon. I remember being able I said to him, even he would pardon me quicker than he would pardon you. You embarrassed him. You embarrassed his wife. That was the most, and he got convicted on 34 counts on that only case. He will never pardon you. And see, never say never, because Michael now found a way. It's the Epstein Files, and now Michael's using it. And because he has no backbone, he doesn't care. He wants his pardon. He wants to get back into the good graces because he understands in that world, they should just think about it. J.D. Vance called Trump a Hitler. He called him a sexual predator, and now he's the vice president. Marco Rubio insulted Donald Trump to every degree possible, and now he's his right-hand Secretary of State. This is how these people operate. They don't care because there's no loyalty in between. They all hate each other. They all will turn on each other, but they all use each other for when it's beneficial. And Michael knew that, and that's why the past several weeks I was so hard on him because I knew he was up to something. I knew he was. My sources were telling me that he was reaching out, and that's why I would lay off of him, and that's why I wouldn't pick up his phone call, and that's why I've been shocked that he did. Do you even know the sick part? How sick this man is? He literally wrote this letter after doing a live with Jolly Good Ginger in Minnesota. He had Jolly Good Ginger in Minnesota talking about. He did this whole live Substack about how we need to go against Trump. How this, and then right afterwards he puts this letter out. I mean, just think about how sick he is. Right before that, he was asking people to become paid subscribers.
Yes, he
to
was.
support
He was.
this.
He was. He was asking people to become paid subscribers. Folks, it's your money. Use it how you want, but it's too much for me. This is, I was saying this is too much for me beforehand. Now this is beyond too much for me. I can only trust my spidey sense. And I was like, I don't like the way he's behaving around the Epstein files. I don't like how he, is blowing up on people who are not asking him in bad faith questions. And now this, Midas Touch, if it still has him on its network, all right.
I'll tell you this much. I can't speak for Ben or the Midas Touch, but I would be in shock if you see. I mean, because the only thing Ben told me is like, "Love, I'm myself in shock. And we have all got blindsided and have no idea what's going on." And
I believe that. I believe that
and they're
completely.
big, yeah, and I totally believe that also. And they're a big organization, so they're gonna have to respond properly and think of it. But I can promise you, folks, that me, Waj, this is just the beginning. Tomorrow, stay tuned. I'm not sleeping tonight, but I'm gonna get to the bottom of what this garbage Michael Cohen is up to. We're gonna close it and we're gonna connect it, and we're not gonna let them get away with it. No,
Uh, no, and I appreciate Levy jumping on. I was just going to go live very quickly, but for 15 minutes, I didn't want to bother you, Ellie, or Zev. And for those who asked, Zev was like, I want to do it, bro, but I think I might get divorced. Uh, and he's like, my studio's unusable. It's 12:30. I can't. I'm like, my bad, man. And I wish some people said no, but here we are. And then I got Lev. Literally, I did one quick one with him on the plane, and he jumped on here. So I appreciate it, Lev. As you're driving, and thank you to your daughter for holding up the phone this entire time. I know it must suck. Thank you to your daughter. Excellent camera skills. God bless Gen Z or Gen Alpha. Can you shamelessly promote yourself, Lev?
Listen, folks, right now, the most important thing is to subscribe to Wash, subscribe to me, subscribe to Ellie, Zed, because it's only takes time. You see, independent journalism is what broke the story. We've stayed on the Epstein files. We've been pushing it while the mainstream media has been walking away from it. Even yesterday, you saw a perfect example on CNN when I worked there. It was supposed to be about Venezuela. I was supposed to go at it with Scott, and still they financed it, they moved it, they tried to give me as little time as possible. So, folks, I'm going to tell you, it's not about anything else. So, please, Waj is the worst person to promote himself, so I'm going to do it for him. Please, folks, for 375 that he's charging, look at what this man is doing.
So I appreciate that. Lev now knows my
And
spiel.
great.
It's a terrible capitalist New Year's special. It's $3.75.
Okay, I do what I mean for that money wash. I mean, if you, it's the best money you can spend for you, for Ellie, and for everyone. If you have for me, because I'm not a journalist. These are real independent journalists. I'm out there literally uh, doing something else. Which watch I can't even tell you, but I got some big news that we're going to be breaking it all together. That I have something planned for all of them. Just like Michael Cohen hit us with this, I'm going to hit them with something they're not ready for. I promise all of you guys. I've been working on it, and I can't wait to just tell you guys. But I promise you, we are going to take our democracy back, and I have such a surprise for them. They're not even ready for it.
No, don't spoil it, folks. I appreciate everyone on the East Coast. It's 1:30. Thank you all for staying up with us. On the West Coast, it's 10:30. It's still late. It's a Friday night. You decided to stay up with us. I didn't want to go this long, but I just was. I know how the right wing works. I know how they're going to spin it. I know how their establishment hacks are going to run with it. I know the bullshit. I can't stand it. I can't stand anyone who uses the Epstein files to protect themselves, because this is the biggest cover up we've seen in modern history. Girls were raped. If you have information, just be transparent. Just share. I don't like how Michael Cohen's behaved with some people I know. My spidey sense has been triggered. And then I read his Substack today, and now I see the right wing run with it. And I saw Donald Trump respond to it. So for those who joined us late, we broke it all down. I hope this was helpful. Stop subscribing to Michael Cohen, folks. Just look at people's actions. And if Michael Cohen wants to redeem himself, answer the question: why did your attorneys reach out to the SDNY with the Rule 35 consideration? What did you mean when you said you know that Trump and excuse me, when you said that you had heard Trump say things about Epstein? What did you hear him say? What did you know? Why was that found? That document was found in the Epstein files. Why now in 2026 have you all of a sudden said that you were coerced by Letitia James and Alvin Bragg? These are legitimate questions. I don't think you have to be a genius or brilliant to connect the dots. And folks, this is it. This is where you get the information, folks. So if you do enjoy it, thank you all. Literally, Lev is driving with his daughter holding it. I should have been resting, watching The Rip on Netflix, but look, Democrats, if the establishment isn't going to fight for our democracy, the rest of us do. We have strength in numbers. And I want to end on the positive note, folks. The poll numbers have come out today. Donald Trump is negative double digits on every single issue. He is weak. I want to remind you, he is weak. He is weak. He is weak. He has overreached on foreign policy. He has overreached on immigration. He has overreached on economy. People are sick and tired of ICE. Today, a federal judge barred DHS agents in Minneapolis from arresting or retaliating against peaceful protesters. So we need every single lever, every single institution, every single person to be full court press, full court press, full court press, put pressure on Democrats. They look at the numbers too. You have to force them to be fighters. You have to bend them to be fighters. They won't do it, folks. They're not built like this. They're not built for this fight. They're weak. So you have to cull the weak ones, reward the strong ones, and then force the other ones to fight. Chuck Schumer won't get it done. But these people are looking at the polls. And that's why they're saying, okay, I see the polls. People want me to impeach Chrissy Noem. Jasmine Crackett came out. Chris Van Hollen, he's been an amazing senator, very consistent. Okay, I'm not going to fund DHS. They should, more and more of them should be like, defund ICE, as AOC is saying. Keep pressuring them. And always remember the greatest weakness of Donald Trump, the Achilles cankle, the biggest club that we have, right? We have many clubs, use all of them, but the biggest club is the Epstein Files. He cannot escape the Epstein Files. And Michael Cohen cannot escape the Epstein Files as well. Thank you all for watching. Lev, go ahead. Final comment.
Before we leave, just wanted to invite you tomorrow, Wajahat. I don't know what your schedule is, but between 12 and 2, we're doing a special. We do it, me and Dean Blundell, and Zev's going to join us, Ellie. I'd love for you to join us. And if any time between 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock, we're going to be doing special about Michael Cohen and all of this stuff. I'm going to be up all night making sure and all early in the morning getting us as much stuff as possible. So please join us tomorrow. Between 12 and 2, we're going to be doing a live special about all this breaking stuff.
And tomorrow, I'll make myself available before 7:30 because 7:30, my 49ers, the underdogs, play the Seattle Seahawks. And if you love America, if you love America and freedom, you must root for the 49ers. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Lev, for jumping on. I know you're exhausted. Thank you for the 1,800 people who joined. This will be up. I'm going to quickly, as soon as this processes, I'll do a quick 100-word write-up, and I'm going to publish this. This is about Michael Cohen. This is about Michael Cohen and his horrible Substack post today, where he alleges that Letitia James and Alvin Bragg coerced him into his testimony. But this is really about the Epstein Files. And what is he hiding? And how come Michael Cohen is now crawling back to Donald Trump? And why is he deciding now all of a sudden to share with the world that he was allegedly coerced? And if he was coerced, what did he lie about? We're going to dig. We'll be on tomorrow with Zev, Lev, and Ellie. Thank you all for watching. And Dean, thank you all for watching. Go 49ers. Take care of yourself. Rest up. And Lev, get home safely. And folks, please don't be a fascist. Take care.